Hi, everybody. Today is August 14th. Let's get started. Thank you for joining us. So some stats. The AUM is at 200.3 million. The Elephant MCAP is at 50.9 million. The Treasury is at 9.1 million. And the Trunk MCAP is at 77.3 million. And we are staked at 2.61 million. Ed, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Josie. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
How's the weather up there? Is it as hot as it is down here?
It is quite hot, but we had pretty much a week of solid rain, so I'm okay with a little bit of heat.
Yeah, that's nice to have a little bit of rain. We haven't gotten too much lately, but our heat index is in the triple digits, so it's been pretty hot.
I hope your air condition is working well.
The air condition is working well at home and in my car, which is the hardest part. I really wish I could have the top down on the Jeep, but it's just too hot to have the top down. So it's one of those things where you think it's a perfect summer vehicle, and it's great until you stop at a red light, and then all of a sudden you just start sweating like crazy because there's no breeze coming at you. So cool car when it's not too hot, but when it's blazing summer, you might as well just suck up the AC as much as you can. And to add to your stats, well, what's up, everybody? Spaces, August 14th, recorded as always, play back anytime you like, to yourself, to your friends, to whoever you're each one teaching one. And add some of your stats. Let's see, what are we looking at? B&B. Last week actually has gone up finally. It wasn't doing too much. Went up from 475 to 523. The Trunk turbine is up 600K. The BTC turbine is now over $1 million. Graveyard still moving up as it should be, and Trumpet, for those of you loving that contract like I am, that's up from 2.854 to 2.856. That's it for the stats. BT did say he will be in here today, so we're going to wait for him to log on. I see one of our other admin native is in the house. Shankar is here. I hope you guys had a great week so far. I know I haven't given you any videos. I've been pretty busy, either not at home or doing something to where I haven't done any videos for you guys to post in the chat or pop on my YouTube. But I'm going to try to get some out before the weekend because I do have a lot of stuff going on over the weekend. Let's see. I know it's going to be, I know the vote is up for the Savannah House thing. BT is probably going to talk about that when he gets in here, because I know that's pretty much what you guys want to hear about. If you guys want to jump in before he comes on, because you know he's probably going to talk and he's probably going to go all the way through the hour. If we make it that far, you know, it's kind of funny. So we come in here, do our spaces like every week for over a year now. And almost 90% of the time, something happens. Sometimes it rugs us. Sometimes you can't hear my microphone. We got to connect. And we're only on here for an hour. But Musk and Trump can talk the other day for as long as they want, and nothing happens. I'm like, come on, man. Can we get some love on our side, too? Oh, my goodness. Anyway, if you guys want to request to speak before we start get going with BT, because once he goes, I'm pretty sure he's going to take the hour off. He might not get to any questions. I don't know if he's going to be able to move it to Telegram or not. But if there's anything you want to chat about beforehand, I'll pretty much open the floor up. If Shankar or Native, if you want to jump in at all before he gets here and say anything, I'll look for some people to give an NFT away to. You know what? Let me just see what this guy's about right here. I won't say who he is yet until I see if he's posted anything about Elephant. No, not really. He doesn't do many posts. So we'll go check the next person out. Yeah, each week we're still giving away the NFT. I know it's not in the forefront right now. It's kind of on the backside, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't still be having one, especially when it's giving you, little rewards in an Elephant token. And I'm just letting it stack up. People have gotten over 1 billion tokens just from holding on to it and staking it. Let's see about you, girl. Let's see what you're at. I don't know if I've given you an NFT before or not, but it doesn't matter because I'm giving it to you anyway. You know who I was talking about. Olivia, you got the NFT winner. So just send me a little message with your address and we'll get you the NFT. So, all right, get that out of the way. And that is about it. So how are you guys enjoying the Solem, their Save.Finance now? You guys What are you guys doing with it? Are you trying to go as max as you can? You staying a little more conservative? What you guys been doing with your funds? Hopefully you're happy with the new stuff that's going on with it. Hopefully you're stacking up your trunk. Don't forget, that's still the play. Stack your trunk as much as you can. If you can take it out of the B&B side, take it out of there and bring it over to Solent. If you have some sitting in your wallet on the B&B side, just see if you can bridge it over, bring it to the Solent side and help us out. Teamwork, man, makes a dream work, and you know that as always. I do see BT has logged on now, so that's pretty good. Whenever you're ready, BT, it's all good to you. And Shankar is actually on here ready, so if you want to start up before bank teller's ready, feel free to jump in, Shankar.
Sure. I'm here in Amsterdam on a trip in
Nice.
Europe. It's been we've had like 2 or 3 very hot days, but now it's back to lower temps, which the locals here prefer anyway.
That's pretty cool. What time is it there?
It is, let's see, 5 p.m. 5:08.
Okay. Six hours ahead of us. All right. Nice. Yep. I've always been a fan of Amsterdam. Never been. I always listen each week to A State of Trance, Armin van Buuren. He does like
music. Oh yeah, that's weekend. Good stuff.
Yeah, I listen to him every week, so it's pretty cool. I hope you're having a good time there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Electronic music, EDM is big here, and lots of culture and all the fun stuff in one city. I also got to meet a herd member from Luxembourg who had a weekend trip to Amsterdam, so I met him, and that's pretty cool to see that our community spans the globe. I'm pretty sure Patricia and I have something on the calendar, so there will be an interview most likely coming out. And yeah, I know that other people are interested in meeting up here, so that's really good. Other than that, just really, I think everybody's looking forward to getting some good information here today. And I know that also for our economy, for the crypto industry as a whole, we've had some good news this morning. So excited to be in the space.
Oh, well, share that news, because I barely logged on today. So what news did you hear today?
Oh yeah, no, the CPI came in at, I think, 0.1% lower than expected. So that is typically a bullish sign. So which most likely will give us a rate cut, I believe, in September. So we have lots of money flowing into the economies. But I'm sure BT will touch on that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Just waiting for him to log on and take over. How long are you staying in Amsterdam?
I'll be here another 3 weeks. I might do a very quick stop in Luxembourg itself next week. And then I will, next month, I'll be in Singapore, and I plan on attending the Solana conference.
Oh, that's where it's at? Wow, nice.
Yep.
Oh, that is cool. I wish you and BT could be out there at the same time. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely focus on networking and, spreading the word. This week, I know for sure that I onboarded 3 more people into Trunk. So slow but steady wins the race, right?
That's right. That's right. Always slow but steady. What was I going to ask you? How you liking? How's your Solend going so far? How's your lending going with the way we've locked things up now?
Yeah, I think it is definitely the best way to ease people back into it, and I think what is most important is that people feel safe in Save, and that seems to be the case. I certainly do. I reallocated my positions, and I think there's no reason not to do so. If you're a little hesitant, just ease back into it. Get to know the new UI. It's definitely a different UI. I personally like the older one a little bit better, but whatever, this works, and I can see my yield growing. I definitely am on the USDC supplier side.
I have not checked too much of the stats on there to see where we were compared to like a week ago. That's the one thing I forgot to look onto this morning to see how much we have on there compared to last week.
Well, I think we are, if we sort by TVL, we are pool number 2 again at a 9.53 million total TVL. But I don't know what that is compared to last week.
I think I said something around 7 or 8 million. So I think it's another million in there, which is good. Yeah. In my head, I was thinking 7 or 8 million. So I think that's a good thing. And as it out, I think too, some people are waiting a little bit longer before they do anything. And they're probably going to start jumping in a little more than they did maybe from last week, just because, they wanted to let things settle and see how things worked and, run some numbers and stuff before they said, okay, you know what? All right, now I'm ready. I'm going to get back in.
Absolutely. And I mean, that is part of doing your own research, right? Just looking at the information, maybe observing a little bit, but then also like what needs to be avoided is paralysis based on excessive fear, right? So as always, easing into it and knowing how far you can go and are willing to go based on your very individual situation, that is important. But also, let's not be paralyzed.
Yeah, and I think also some of the people that are in, at least as long as you have the trunk, then it's at least you're still, making some money. I hope you at least have the trunk while you're waiting, not wait to buy trunk and then wait to do the lending, because at least you have it in your wallet and you're making some kind of gains before you add that to it by doing the lending.
I mean that is definitely, if you are part of this community and believe in it and know where we can go, I mean, then having trunk and keeping to accumulate it at a pace that's good for you, that is really essential. Because I mean, as you look, I mean, just look at the chart and see how healthily it is developing, and do your part as a herd member. As always, we have strength in numbers and as a community.
And the trunk's up, at 10% since last week we were on here on Spaces. So that's nothing, just a little drop in the bucket compared to what you're going to see down the road. So keep DCAing, keep buying, keep getting those each ones in there. Add more wallets with trunk in it if you have to, any way you can, to add fuel to the fire of how hot this thing's going to get here pretty soon, especially after we get BT to make some more moves on the back end.
100%. I mean, what I would say, what is about to be discussed and exposed by BT here soon, is really, I mean, if you're not acting now, then you're acting never, right? I mean, it is, as always, it is definitely a great opportunity to build some life-changing wealth for yourself and your family.
And once everything pushes all these buttons, you're going to be coming in here next week or whenever he does that, and you'll be like, oh, yes, we know you wish you would have and you wish you should have. So now's your chance to actually do it. And we're trying to give you a heads up as best that we can to say, hey, grab it now. Or if you want to grab less tokens later, feel free, you can, but we're giving you a chance to grab it today. You ready, BT? I don't know. I'd hate to give you less time to talk than you need, and it goes pretty fast when we're doing this. I think last week you were talking, I look up and it was like 10 minutes left, and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize the time went by that fast, especially when he gets on a roll. Shout out to Nikki G, last week's NFT winner. Just to let you know, BT hasn't sent them out yet. I do have the spreadsheet. I added your name to it as well, so you're on there. I know BT likes to put them out in bulk. One big mass distribution to all winners, all our content creators, and all the people that are going to be getting stuff. So hang tight. It's still coming your way. Don't be worried about that. And unfortunately, I just saw BT log off. So maybe he was having trouble connecting, and that's what the issue was. So we'll give him a few minutes to see if he pops back on again, because I just saw his icon disappear. So in the meantime, it's you and me, Shankar. How's your futures going with bringing people? Are you focused on more of trunk and lending, or you're actually still focused on doing some futures accounts?
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I'm definitely involved in every part of Elephant Money, and I love my futures accounts. I do understand that, strategically speaking, the tip of the spear, as BT says, is trunk, and for a very good reason. And there we have him. So, BT, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's all yours.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Very busy morning. So we'll be at World Congress Conference Center in Atlanta, Georgia, right next in Centennial Park, that historic Olympic park. Atlanta hosted the games. I forget what year that was, but Atlanta hosted the Olympics a couple decades ago. But right next to the CNN Center as well. So a lot of their filming happens there in Georgia. But we'll be at InvestFest. And InvestFest, as it turns out, is one of the largest financially focused conferences in the world. It's kind of interesting. If you ask ChatGPT to name some of the best financial or largest financial conferences in the world, it lists like the World Economic Forum, Davos, a whole bunch of other things, and then like InvestFest pops up in there. It's whatever. So I think that was pretty cool. I wonder how they did that. Maybe they just game the SEO, and then OpenAI picked up the SEO. Who knows? But all I know is last year they had just as many participants as Bitcoin Nashville, Bitcoin 2024 had this year. So we're actually going to a bigger conference, and instead of, our meetup was great, but instead of that, we're gonna have our first conference booth ever. So after 3 years, we'll have our first conference booth. And so what does that tell you? That tells you that we're not eager beavers. This isn't JV League. When I worked at Fidelity, when I worked at State Street, I worked on projects that we would work on them for like 2 years before they ever, 3 years before they even saw the light of day. And some of those projects, some of the code that I've written, a lot of the code that I've written is still in production to this day. Foreign exchange systems, FX Connect at State Street, global markets, doing trillions of dollars a week in foreign exchange volume. I built that. Digital built that. So you're talking about so by the way, you're talking about an executive who spends quite a bit of time in our chat helping out. What's that tell you in terms of belief in what we're doing? Like, we are a global financial cooperative, period. Like, first of its kind. They talk about fees and revenue on Solana. But in terms of the fees and revenue that we were kicking out when we first launched on Solend, 2 months ago now, that blew everything we've ever done out of the water, but it's built on everything we've ever done. That makes sense. What makes you part of this financial cooperative? What makes you part of this financial cooperative is being a part of the community. That's number one. Being active in the community, each one teach one, that's even better. And also, lock liquidity. The experiment, pretty basic. It's an experiment that everyone knows, but lock liquidity wasn't always a thing. And when we say lock liquidity, we don't mean it's going to be locked for a couple of months and then it's unlocked and whatever. Lock means locked. Locked means married to the platform. What I mean by platform is married to the L1, married to the components of the liquidity, do or die. That lock liquidity, that's what keeps everyone in the room honest. No matter what risks we take, that liquidity, we can depend on it. We protect our tokens. We protect access to that liquidity. Why is that important? Going into this next stage of Solend, not only will we recover, but we're about to show the world something that they've never seen before. And the most important thing that everyone here has to remember is that you got to protect the tokens. I used to talk about a concept that many of you have heard me talk about called liquidity leaks. And one of the strengths of Elephant Money and the protocols I built in the past is that I've learned from this concept of liquidity leaks. And during the design process, I make sure that all liquidity leaks are closed. People will propose ideas to me all the time, and I just run it through the liquidity leak filter. If there's a liquidity leak, then that means, which is basically just tokens seeping out of somewhere into stakeholders' hands where they can then be dumped. That's a liquidity leak. If you make it easy for people to divest from their tokens, that's a liquidity leak. Divest from the tokens outside of the rules of the game. What's the simplest way to keep your tokens fully liquid and keep your tokens fully protected? Keep them in your wallet. What does that mean? That means that no matter how bright the sign is, no matter how well everybody else is doing, you got to know one thing, especially when we're looking at Trunk growing. If it just continues on the growth trajectory from like 4 cents to where it is now, if you look at that chart from 4 cents to where it is now, the chart's still all green. Even with that big drop, it's still all green. And we know what that big drop was about. That was about not addressing liquidity leaks, right? So if it's possible for someone to gain access to the tokens and dump them, and they're not a vetted stakeholder, they're not a trusted stakeholder, that's a liquidity leak. And that's what those liquidations were about. So what happened. If anything, it shows how strong we are as a community. All the growth, all the recovery that you've seen is based on the strength and fortitude of this community. But we got to be prepared to do bigger things. And we got to protect these.
Did we lose BT?
Let me just turn. You should be able to hear me now, no?
Yeah, that's right. Your thing was connecting to your Bluetooth. That's what it was.
Yeah, just connect to my Bluetooth.
All right, you're good though. We sound good.
I'm in travel mode. So let me just adjust some things. One thing is, no matter what you're doing, even if, and we all have day jobs, right? Or many of us do. My day job is elephant money, but it doesn't absolve me from being a father, and I have to pick up my daughter. So, who was getting out of sewing camp early today. So we're gonna have a little ride while we chat, and just have to check exactly where that address is, because this is a different sewing camp. Got it. All right, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Come on.
I don't think many people knew what Digita actually does. No, I don't need to tell it's distracting you from everything. What he actually does, because we don't know much about him. We see him all helping out a lot, but we didn't know what he actually did.
Yeah. For a good chunk of my career, he was always like my big brother, my boss. Yep. My work wife, all that. And my audio still coming in good?
Yeah, still sounds great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we built quite a few systems together, did a lot of work together, basically led major teams together. So I can't, I can't go into too many details, but I'm sure all will be revealed very soon, because we are on our way. So we're on our way. We're doing filming. We got to put in a vote to sort of solidify how much money we're going to spend on this documentary, but we are doing filming on this, and we're gonna get it done. Let me see if I can turn this audio off. How do I do that? So what's my point here with the liquidity leaks? The best thing you can do is to take your long-term, unless you're in growth mode. So if you're in growth mode, you're going to have to risk it for the biscuit. So, and what I mean by that is you're going to, in reference to Save, in reference to Save.Finance, you're going to have to, this is, fully audited contracts. The contracts do what they're supposed to do. Obviously, we can't have inmates running the asylum in terms of liquidations, but otherwise, they do what they're supposed to do. There you go. All right, that should. I just had to figure out how to shut her up. Let's see. So yeah, in terms of the safe, Solend safe. The LTV is fairly conservative at 20%, and you basically need like an 80% drop to be impacted at all. Savannah House is in charge of the liquidation process now, so obviously in the best interest of the community, those types of cascading liquidations and things like that wouldn't happen. Here's the thing: price doesn't go down if you don't sell. Okay, so when you see a bot, so most of these large drops are because of people playing whale games, developers with I wouldn't say competing platforms, because at this stage of the game, there's not many players that can compete against us. If you just look at like what an average, startup, how much money they might get, these VCs are taking like half the company and tokens, and these teams are only raising like $2 million. Like they expect, in 2024, they expect for you to do a lot with a little. And I've always operated like that since day one. I was at the gym the other day, and I just got off the elliptical, and then I just thought about things. I was just like, wow. I've worked for the herd longer than I've worked for anyone else. Like, I've worked for the herd for 8 years before it was even called the herd. But I've been community building and building smart contract platforms for 8 years. So this is crazy, and that's longer than any particular stint at any institution. So in terms of my institutional experience, it's predominantly now in DeFi and in Web3 and in Web2 and in cloud computing, and in financial modeling and in game theory. So, but all of that, you can't replicate that, and you can't move locked liquidity. So so that is why we endure, because these smart contracts run forever. The liquidity is, so we have to choose the tokens that back our liquidity carefully. But other than that, at least for our lifetimes, I expect for example, I expect the United States to be relevant for a very long time, and the U.S. dollar to be relevant for a very long time, as the strongest government-backed currency there is. That's not going to change. And things like USDC keep the United States relevant. We're a global community, but there's a reason why DeFi is backed by USD and Bitcoin and ETH, right? Solana and BNB. There's a reason why it's those tokens and not anything else. So there's the Lindy effect, and in the next 12 to 18 months, you're going to see something like you've never seen before. And we're going to be right at the center of it. And so the only thing that can stop us is fear itself. And let me tell you something. When people play whale games, trust me, if you've looked at the holder distribution, they played their hand, right? They played their hand. And if they try to play again, you need to be ready. You need to have dry powder ready. But we're going to be bringing significant economies of scale to bear, significant resources to bear, and we're going to do this thing. And so here's the plays that I'm running, the Savannah House is running, and they work. And now when things go bump in the night, you can still sleep well at night. Since the very beginning, one of the things we always pride ourselves on is that you can sleep well at night. And for a majority of our life, that has always, every time we try to push the envelope a little bit, it might expose some cracks, and people are going to try to exploit that, and then we have to adjust, and we have to come back stronger. But we always come back. Let's see. Here's the plays. One of the easiest things you can do to help with what's about to come is to be a USDC provider. That's going to get you returns on par with futures or better, and you're going to be, for the most part, liquid. There's going to be a 30% buffer. There is a 30% buffer up from 10% for USDC coming in and out. So what that means is, outside of the borrowing, there's 30% of what's supplied is always left as a buffer. So, if we're up in the millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, if you put in a couple $100K or just $10K or something smaller, $5K, $100, whatever, you're going to be able to get it in and out if you need to. But the point is to obviously leave it there and let it grow, because you lose a lot of by jumping in and out and not letting the auto compounds happen. The auto compounds, they happen every tick, every epoch, which is like a couple seconds for the blocks. It's actually more than a second, but the blocks move pretty fast. But in terms of it actually being fully confirmed, all that stuff, let's just say a couple seconds. But like this thing's compounding by the second, so the APYs are very juicy. In the Save.Finance interface, you have to click settings, by the way, to turn it from APR to APY, and I think by default they show it as APY. Yeah. So the easiest thing you can do is be a USDC provider. The second simplest thing you can do is be a USDC provider, but also throw your throw some trunk in there. Now, if I would suggest, if we're going to be on the ultra conservative side, this is not financial advice, but I'm just talking about archetypes here. It's not personalized financial advice, but we're talking about strategy, how to use these tools. If you're in any way conservative, just put 25% of your trunk into Solent. How many people who got liquidated, including myself, wish that they only put a fraction of their trunk into Solent? If you're conservative, just put 25% in there, and then you can run the borrowing strategies, the looping strategies. Borrow USDC, buy more trunk, put that trunk in there, wait for trunk to go up some more, borrow some more USDC, loop it around. But only do that with 25% of your bag. Okay? Do it only with 25% of your bag. Don't go all out. You want to keep that moon bag. You don't want to lose that moon bag. They only can hurt us if they have access to the tokens. By some freak accident, if Solend or Save was to be hacked, that's not happening, by the way, but anything remotely like that were possible, then we wouldn't lose. We wouldn't lose if we only had like a conservative amount of trunk in there. So we're 25%. But we also have the LTV that also protects us. And frankly, if you're in recovery mode like myself, and that's only a minority of us, by the way. So I'm speaking to a minority here. The majority of people were very conservative. I think in some ways maybe too conservative, but it's that mix of demographics, and it's that mix of risk appetites, which is why Elephant Money is still here today. We're a financial cooperative. We make decisions together. We also make individual decisions, and every single decision that was possible with the tools that we put in place, every single decision was possible, was exercised, including extreme caution, including extreme, I'm not paying attention, I'm on vacation. And that saved a lot of people a lot of headache. There's like, my tokens are in Trumpet. You see that by where the tokens are. The majority of tokens are in Trumpet. Trumpet was a contract I wrote, and contracts that I write are default safe. Default, you can't screw anybody over. I don't allow that to happen. But now we're in the big leagues here. We're in the game that everybody wants to play, right? We're in the game the whole world wants to play. All the markets were burning red, right, last week, right? When that cash carry trade, Japan cash carry trade fell apart, and because they decided to raise rates by 0.25%, 25 basis points, and people lost it, right? So that happened, right? And a whole bunch of debt got unwound. What happened at the global scale is exactly what happened to us. What was the difference? In the big leagues, there's circuit breakers. In the big leagues, you got adults in charge. In this thing we call DeFi, they want the inmates to run the asylum. How does that work? How does that work? A lot of people got injured, right? But that's the cost of freedom. But you don't have to be, we can do better. we can definitely do better, and we know better. Like we already know better, and so decentralization failed that day, and decentralization will always fail. There's all these conversations about circuit breakers and safety and stuff that I've had built into my software since day one. I have built-in circuit breakers in futures. You guys know that we have built-in circuit breakers, right? You know, there's things that you just can't do if the system's not healthy, and the system can detect when it's not healthy and perform accordingly. So we have that in place. I've been your custodian for 3+ years, 7 years if we count everything that I've ever done, and many of those platforms are still running. So there's still people making money off of bankroll to this day. It's insane. If liquidations are going to happen, they're going to be executed by Savannah House. So we're still continuing the business continuity planning around Savannah House, still working with our lawyers, all that good stuff, to make sure that we have a organization that lives well beyond the life of you or me on this call today. Because we're doing this all for generational wealth, for our children, for our grandkids, so on. So getting back to strategy, USDC or USDC supplemented with 25% of your trunk bag, have your trunk bag sit there. You can just borrow when you need to. So that trunk bag, that 25% of your trunk bag, that's gonna, in terms of its value, it's gonna eclipse the value of, like, the value today of your trunk bag, of your whole trunk bag. That 25% is gonna eclipse that value very quickly if we just continue the growth rates we have, if we continue the growth rates, coupled with a healthy debt market. As we start growing, we're already stacking on millions in terms of supplied value. We will, Savannah House will be paying off those that negative equity. Oh, by the way, I know when some people did unfortunately get liquidated, including myself, we have some negative equity we're looking at. If you didn't pay it off, you don't necessarily have to use a new account, a new wallet, I should say. You can always just click create account. You can create another wallet you can create another account under your wallet. So you'll have that first account, which has negative equity in it. You can create account 2 and start fresh there. You don't have to, especially if you're using a ledger or something like that, or a smart contract wallet. You don't have to throw that away in terms of interacting with interacting with Solend. You can, or Save. You can just create another account, create account 2, account 3, whatever. So you can also partition your strategies by accounts. So if your strategies aren't complementary, or if you don't have a complex strategy, you can separate your strategies. And if you separate your strategies, that also can make sure that you don't get liquidated. So if you have pure supply side strategies, then you can create an account for those such that they're not negatively impacted by what's going on, because they're just pure supply side. And if you don't have any borrow, remember the equation for equity is equity equals supply minus borrow. So if you have supply only strategies, whether which mainly makes sense with a combination of let's see here. Which mainly makes sense in terms of USD in combination with Trunk or USDC by itself. Then you can isolate those ones. If you are going heavy with a borrow strategy, one thing you can, it's always good to just repay your loan. Another strategy you can do is when you can start out with an initial amount of USDC, and if your borrow amount is always equal to, of USDC is always equal to the supplied amount of USDC. It sounds counterintuitive, and the amount of interest you're paying is the spread between those two. But if you have if in a single account, if you have Trunk, supplied Trunk, supplied USDC, and then borrowed USDC, if the supplied USDC is equal to the borrowed USDC, it's impossible for you to get liquidated, right? And so in terms of your Trunk, right? In terms of your Trunk. So as Trunk grows and you borrow, if you also supply USDC at the same time, you have a shield. And I call that the sword and shield strategy. And with the sword and shield strategy, you'll never lose. And so that's why we had so many people participating, but only a small minority of people, 13%, got liquidated, because many people were kind of figured out the sword and shield strategy as they were going along. And there's a couple of prominent people in the community who actually described the short and shield strategy. Didn't dive deep into it, but did definitely describe what they were doing, and it worked out. And that sword and shield strategy works out even better when the LTV is lower. So when the LTV is high, like 75%, the sword and shield strategy can get out of hand, especially if people are using borrowed money for the shield. Though they're keeping the USDC in the system, so they can be potentially borrowed by other people. It's just it can be very burdensome at high LTVs, but at 20% LTV, it's a strategy that can work very well for the community. So I'll dive into that in another session. But there's a way for us to use leverage and lever up while protecting ourselves at the same time and providing very good yield for USD suppliers. So what else? So we'll be at InvestFest. We'll have a booth. We're gonna have some couches there. We're gonna have a backdrop. We have a QR code on the backdrop. We have a couple community members there. Crypto Mason's gonna be there. Zach Minter is gonna be there. DeFi Springs is gonna be there. Basically, I'll be there. My girl will be there. Yeah. So Steph will be there. So yeah, we'll all be there, and we're gonna represent Elephant Money, and it's gonna be a chill spot right in front of the main media center in the middle of the expo. So in the middle of the vendor area, we're right there. There's a whole bunch of seating and a stage there, so they'll be interviewing people and doing panels there, and then we'll basically be providing additional seating and chill spot for that, where people can just sit down on a couch, rest their feet, and also just scan our QR code, get taken to a landing page with a video that we produced that covers the opportunity with Trunk and USDC. So it is 11:58. I'm outside waiting for my daughter at the sewing school, and I think what I'm gonna do is switch over to Telegram and take questions there. But that's just a rundown of how to play Save. This looks like this liquidity vote is gonna pass, and we're going to be able to move work with some additional value. I didn't get a chance to talk about Futures V11, but I think I'll save that for sometime tomorrow. So I'll do do something on Telegram tomorrow. I'll actually schedule the time and make sure it's recorded to talk about Futures V11. I actually finished most of the code for the first pass of Futures V11 yesterday, or actually 2 days ago. So I'm pretty excited about that. Not too many changes to moving components. Actually have a little bit of a hybrid between a turbine and a treasury with administrative controls. Pretty excited about that. It's kind of like a hybrid between a treasury and a turbine. So it has a defined use case, but you also can tap into it only by the owner, but you can tap into it if you need to figure something else out. So it's not locked liquidity. So the trunk turbine is locked liquidity, and the trunk turbine is going to receive the same amount that it was receiving before. The Bitcoin turbine is going to receive everything. Basically, all the components are going to receive the same amounts as they were before, except for the elephant treasury. It was receiving 50%. Now it's going to receive 10%. The trunk turbine is still going to receive 20%. And now this new hybrid trunk treasury turbine thingy is going to receive 40%. But it's going to work like a turbine in terms of actually almost like a supercharger or a turbocharger in a car. If for those of you who understand cars and engines, it's going to allow us to take kind of a lightweight treasury that we actually do want to build up back to significant levels. We're going to keep that elephant treasury that in place to still pay all liabilities. So the goal is to take a loan from it. We voted on that. Allocate those resources to where they're most effective, which is Trunk. In terms of servicing futures, the elephant treasury is going to continue to service futures, and that servicing is going to be just in time. So we're always going to remember, it just as long as it has just in time resources to pay liabilities, it has enough resources. So with the growth of Trunk and things like that, think of this new treasury turbine thing. Let's maybe call it why don't we just call it a supercharger? Why not? This supercharger, what it's gonna do is it's like a turbine, except instead of paying 1% APR, it might be doing like 5% a day or something like that. You know, very, very high rates of what's in the Supercharger will get dumped into the elephant treasury as needed, and I'll be able to adjust that rate manually or algorithmically in the future. So I might, since I've already finished the code, I might actually do some work to make make it adjustable, make it so that I can plug and play strategies somehow.